today. I'm excited to get back into this leaders meeting that I've been doing. I know we did one a few weeks ago. Happy Wednesday. Good to see everybody. So I'm going to throw you guys on mute if you don't mind. What's up, Miles? Hey, bro.
Hello, Ken. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for jumping on today.
Thanks for
I
having
see
me.
Curtis there. I see. What up, Garneet? Okay, we got some hot shots
What's up,
on
Ken?
today. Hey, buddy. Garneet. Focused. Granit is focused. He's ready to roll. He's checking out, see if his guys are on. That's what he's doing right now. I know, Granit. I know you. All right, guys. Happy Wednesday. So listen, I appreciate you jumping on today. You know, this call is going to be recorded. I'm going to throw it up on my YouTube channel if you want to share it with your teams. You know, I did this call or a similar call 2-3 weeks ago about how to play chess and not play checkers and how to really take your leadership game to a different level. And I got a lot of great feedback, a lot of good feedback from some of the owners, a lot of good feedback from some of the leaders. And so, listen, I'm willing to do some of these calls and put together some content for you guys if it adds value, right? I want to spend time, you know, my mission is to help change the world one leader at a time. I know we're in an industry and an organization where I can help people do that. So I appreciate all the feedback. And obviously, if you can take some of the feedback and give it to your owners, give it to your managers, and then they'll pass it on to me. I really appreciate that. And that's how I created some content. I know Granit actually is one of the owners, gave me some feedback on some things that he'd like me to cover today for you guys. So before we get started, though, we have some people that may have been on 2 weeks ago or may have you know, listened to the you know, the content on the YouTube channel. Can you throw in the chat? We talked about planning for our team. We talked about the strategy of thinking ahead, weekly planning, daily planning. Can you throw in some of the positive things that you implemented for your team the last time we got on, so we can kind of get the chat going a little bit, some things that are working that you know, since the last time we got on, because I'm going to follow up with some things to do around that, the daily planning and thinking ahead. So I'm just kind of curious, anybody have anything that worked since the last times? Any daily or weekly planning to help your guys? You know, the 2 things in the morning, the 2 things for the field, anything got rocking. All right. So I see Veronica creating a spreadsheet with a weekly plan, a daily office, and field focuses. Nice. Nice, V. I love it. Good for you. Good for you. Let's see. So I got to throw someone on mute here. I know some of you guys may be typing there. All right, cool. So listen, I appreciate you, you know, throwing that up there, Veronica. Hopefully there's more people that got some goodness out of it. I know you guys may be ready to take some notes and doing your thing. It seems like, all right, here we go. Here we go. We got one-on-one with my leader this morning, some actions and applications. Thank you, Larib. Let's see, matching people to train based on their hobbies and personalities. I love that, Michael. Checking on the strengths and weaknesses, desired outcomes for everyone on the team. Nice. And then realizing what trainees we have and how to go about them individually. Love that. When are we doing practice pitching, having new guys with a leader that can help them improve? Awesome. All right, very cool. So today I'm going to talk a little bit more about those things. Let's see a couple more pop-ups. Setting standards and how we're going to train, understand the type of trainee they are, and planning accordingly. Perfect. All right, so very good. So what I'm going to talk about today, again, is more things around coaching, more things around leadership and showing up for your people. So there's one thing that I want to make sure is super clear. If you want to play game of development and coaching to be in a leadership role or in a management position at a high level, or even build an organization where you have multiple outside deals and create millions of dollars in overrides and consulting fees on a yearly basis, you got to think ahead. You got to create a system for coaching people, a system for developing people. Right? So we went over a little bit of this last time. So I'm going to lean into more of that today, the system of coaching people. So I got a little slide deck for you guys again, how to play chess. and how to not play checkers. So we talked about the daily planning and some things that are working. Keep in mind, some people are building a system around developing salespeople. In my opinion, you got to get your head wrapped around developing a system around developing leaders. Say that again, and a little bit slower. Some people are developing salespeople, system around developing salespeople, and other people are thinking about how to develop leaders. What I'm going to go over today is things that you got to make sure your leaders know, and first that you're doing, coaching this system to pass on to another leader so they can develop their people. Keep in mind, crucial conversations. These are conversations that are necessary and needed as people are onboarding. Building and developing a team is a series of conversations you're going to have over the course of a few weeks and really over time to help mentor and develop your guys. Now, the neat part about this is, again, just like we went over, if there is an athlete on your team, there's a certain approach to that athletically minded individual. Or if somebody's trying it out, there's an approach to that person who is trying out sales for the first time. There's also a system to certain conversations that you should have based on what day of training or what scenario is happening, right? Again, a system to coaching people based on their timeline or tenure with your group, with your organization. And a lot of these conversations are kind of crucial conversations. Sometimes they're considered critical conversations. These are conversations when they go really well, the person will excel and they'll walk away and feel loved and supported. If they're not done properly and it doesn't go over well, they could walk away and say, you know what? No, you didn't talk to me in the way that I appreciate. You didn't talk to me in a way that I feel good about. I want to go to you more as a coach or a trainer or whatever. So again, that's why these are, somewhat crucial. Now, before you get into the crucial conversations or these important conversations, I call them, you got to think about this concept first. Something called an emotional bank account. An emotional bank account. What is an emotional bank account? An emotional bank account is things that you do, people that are on your team or people that you love, your team, people in life, things that you do, build your relationship. I'll give you an example. There's someone in my organization or someone I care about, someone in my family, someone just that I met for the first time, and they enjoy shooting hoops. I'm not a basketball guy. I played a little basketball growing up. I go out and shoot some hoops. I go watch them play a game. They play, I don't know, the old men basketball league, 5-on-5, over 30, whatever. And I go watch one of their games and just being a fan of theirs. And that's going to put some deposits in that emotional bank account because I'm just getting to know them. I have a peer of mine in business that's one of our partners at our broker. She was a high school basketball coach. So when I was out in LA recently, I was out visiting some of our partners. She mentioned to me that she had a high school game. And I said, what time's your game? Let me see if I can figure it out. I want to go watch. Sure enough, I figured out. I got there. It was a little bit late because based on meetings I had. But I watched most of the game. It was it was a high school basketball. I haven't been to a high school basketball game in a long time. But man, she felt amazing about our relationship. And we've always been buddies, but that was a deposit in that bank account. So if I were to ask, and I don't do it for this, but if I were to ask, help me out with something, she'd be more inclined to be a partner and supportive of what I'm doing because I took the time to hang out and to get to know her and do things that she loves to do. So when someone's new in the office, new in the organization, getting a coffee with someone when they're new, going to a new, like getting breakfast with them when they're new, hanging out, doing something they love to do, meeting their family. If they're a parent, I'm a parent. Somebody meets my kids. Like, my kids are my world, right? That is putting deposits in the emotional bank account. So keep in mind, you can never ask someone to do anything more than the relationship you have with them. So give you an example. I just got a new Range Rover Sport. If my brother asks me, he goes, hey, can I, hold on a second. Someone's not on mute here. If you're not on mute, please throw yourself on mute. Thank you. So my brother said, hey, can I borrow the car, the Range Rover? Yeah. I'm like, of course. Where do you got to go? I got to go somewhere. It's my brother. Right. But if my day one trainee started my company, said, hey, Ken, can I borrow the car? I'm like, I don't know you that well. Right. There's no bank account. There's no, emotional bank account. There's no relationship really. Right. So you can never ask something more of the relationship you have built with them, and the more that emotional bank account. So keep that in mind as you get into these conversations. So remember, no relationship, conversation. Relationship, you can have a ton of conversations to support people and help them get ahead. So you can, if you'd like to throw some things in the chat. I can't see the chat right now of what are some good deposits in the emotional bank account, things that you can do with your team to give others on this call an idea of things you can do. That's pretty cool. I won't be looking at it, but I just wanted to get you guys to share that with each other and help each other out. All right, so now you got the emotional bank account. Things are rocking. You got a good relationship, and there's conversations you need to have. Again, there's building a team and being a leader are a ton of small conversations over the course of time. And what is a crucial conversation? What is a critical conversation? What is an important conversation? So a crucial conversation is a series of conversations that people have to have when developing new people. And they have to be careful in these conversations around the emotional state of the trainee. Keep in mind, they have to be based on standings, statistics, and not emotion. Go over that again. So conversations, you have to be aware of an emotional state of a trainee. Series of conversations that you have when people are onboarded. Now, the conversations are based on standings and statistics, but they're not based on emotion. So why do we have to be aware of their emotional state? Because if someone's emotional, you can't talk facts. You can't talk statistics, right? So as long as somebody's strong and everything's good emotionally, nothing going on in general, okay, cool. I need to have some conversation around some stats, some numbers, etc. Now, these conversations, they have to be real, not be sugar-coated, has to be circled around opportunity for growth, not sales. To be real, sugar-coated, to be circled around opportunity, not around sales. The most important part about a crucial conversation, there's nothing you take away from this call. This is the point. They are ineffective. For a bad example. Ineffective. You're a bad example. I'll give you an example about a conversation that you may have to have. There's a piece of your campaign, your sales process, doing there's certain numbers you got to hit, or certain goals you got to hit, or certain requirements, standards you have, etc. And you want to have a crucial conversation with someone on your team, and you have a great relationship. You spend a ton of time with them. You've been golfing. You know their family. All the things are great. You are not a good example of what you need to talk to them about. It will not go well for you. You cannot have that conversation until you are the example that you want to see in them, and they can turn around and say to themselves when they walk away, man, they're right. They are doing these things. We have an amazing relationship. I appreciate the concern they have for me. It's not just because I need to hit sales numbers. I need to get down these certain habits. I need to make these changes for my life to be a better husband, be a better parent, be a better coach, mentor, and also be a better salesperson in my career. So that's the foundation of a crucial conversation. Now, crucial conversations. Now, there's actually a series of them based on tenure. You can apply. Thinking about your team. We're talking about daily plan and weekly planning. So there's a day 1 conversation. There's a day 3 conversation. There's a first day conversation, a tough day conversation. There's a promotion to leadership. So a standards or when people get cut from a team conversation. I actually had that talk with my kids recently because we're doing tryouts for the soccer team. Kind of funny. But there's different conversations you got to have when it comes to these. All right, so we're going to jump right in. Day 1. First day in the business. Hold on a sec, somebody's not on mute. If you guys throw yourself on mute, that'd be helpful because that goes a little bit. Thank you. All right, first day in the business, right? So when taking somebody to the field, you build a little bit of relationship and atmosphere. You build some relationship in the morning. You introduce them to people. If you're a strong leader, you abide by the buddy system, the holster theory. They're like right on your hip the whole time, and you're introducing them around. They're they feel loved, supported, etc. You're on the way to the field. You're on the way to the store. You're on the way to the territory, whatever. The day 1 conversation is really simple. It's hey. And I see Gurneet on here in my screen and say, hey, Gurneet, I know today's your first day. I just want to ask a quick question to make sure we're aligned with how your training is going to go. So, Gurneet, listen, I know there's 2 types of coaches on a daily basis that you can have in any industry and any sport. Do you prefer having a coach that's tough and hard on you and honest with you, that gives you kind of the real talk if you're making mistakes? Or do you prefer like the cheerleader coach and telling you that everything's okay and that everything's going to be great? What type of coach do I need to be for you? And Gurneet says,
I want you to be honest. I want you to tell me the truth.
Now it's super, and thank you for playing along there, Gurneet. So that conversation is one you have day 1 because it sets the tone. And then you just put that conversation in your pocket. And the first day you go about your day and you help them out. Because what that'll do is that'll open the door for you on day 3, day 5, or day 7, if they're not making the right decisions to get things down, to have that honest conversation. You kind of bring it up. Hey, listen, you remember that day 1, I asked you kind of that funny question about being tough or being nice? You said you wanted me to be tough, and I got to be honest with you. Spending the time outside of work, learning the pitch like you need to learn. It's not going to work out for you long term. And I don't know if you want to be in the job market again and picking up the Indeed or whatever, looking for a new position, or go back to your old shitty job. But, you got to we got to put some effort in. I'm telling you, because I like you. I think we have a good time together. And then they walk away. I'm like, man, you know what? This person has grabbed a coffee with me. They've really looked out for me. Yeah, man, they're right. They're right. So keep in mind, day 1 is you got to have the tough versus nice conversation. And also that conversation is a conversation you have too. Any day that you train someone else in the office that you may not be assigned to them as their trainer or their mentor, right? So if you go into a training role and you go out with someone for the first time and you just kind of tough on them, whatever, without having that talk, they're going to think that you're a bitch or, someone who's not so nice, etc. Because again, you have a limited relationship. So keep that in mind. The tough versus nice conversation is day 1. Day 3, again, thinking ahead, planning ahead, doing your 2 things in the morning, 2 things in a day. A day 3 conversation. It's super important to remind people on their 3rd day that we hired them for their people skills, their product knowledge, them for their people skills, not their product knowledge. And what this does, it just allows them to relax. Now they're a couple days into training, right? They're a couple days into learning the product. Every time I ask a new person in our industry, what do you want to learn more of? I want to learn more about the phones. I want to learn more about the product. And I'm like, relax. Learn more about the people side. The product's going to come. You have a cell phone, right? You have internet, right? Okay, cool. These are things that everyone uses every day. They're not that hard to pick up. So remember, we hired you for your people skills. But day 3 is that's the important conversation. All right. Next one is the first day solo. Solo. You know, when somebody goes solo, I don't know about you guys, I remember being so nervous about that. Tracking in general, getting out there and not having my trainer around and actually kind of, and I was never really thrown to the wolves, but I didn't have any support, right? So super important that in the first day solo, could you throw yourself on mute, please? I don't know who that was. It's not on mute, but thank you. First day solo, I cover the 3 T's. 3 T's. The T's are control, taking the territory, time management. In my opinion, those 3 things are what new staff commonly screw up when they're on their own. So what I tell them, and I give high direction, I see Veronica on my screen here. I say, Veronica, she's new on my team. She's going solo for the first day. I say, hey, Veronica, before you get out there, I want to go over 3 quick things with you. Cool? I want you to focus on these 3 things. 1, I want you to focus on working your territory. So in retail, there's 2 types of customers. There's one that's kind of on the speedway, going down the main vein. And then there's people that are kind of shopping around. There's 2 different approaches for those customers. So remember, you may catch people on the speedway, you may catch people in the aisles, but work your territory. Make sure you pitch as many people as possible. Number 2, make sure you take control. You got to move the sale along. You got to transition to the credit check. You got to transition to porting the numbers. You got to transition to get the ID for the close. I'm sorry, the credit card for the close. Taking control. If you have any doubt and there's any uncertainty, just take control, lean into the next step of the process. And number 3, time management. Don't spend more than 30, 40 minutes with any customer. Waste your time and their time if you spend longer than that. And typically those customers are with you for a long time. They don't work out anyways. So be careful getting caught. Now, that one in particular, I already know Veronica is going to get a customer. I already know she's going to spend an hour, hour and a half with them. I already know that. That's what new guys do. They don't know when to kind of cut it off and move on. But the fact that I say spend 30 to 45 minutes, I'm preventing them to go for 2 hours. I know they're going to get to like 45 minutes and be like, oh yeah, Ken said, oh, right about this time, I got to figure out how to like get it done or not get it done, right? But I'm trying to prevent them from spending way too much time. But the first day in their own conversation is the 3 T's. Hugely important to get people productive, especially on that solo day. All right, the next one is the first tough day. Tough day. I like my little meme, by the way. Look, busting my nuts at work here. Squirrel. The first tough day, right? It's like, you know, we're in sales. We deal with people. There's some crazy shit that happens. Things don't go our way. Okay. And so it's super important, again, that you have a relationship with your people and they trust you along the way. You have these conversations. So when they have a tough day or they have tough times, they puke uphill. They call you as a trainer. I'm sorry, whoever is not on mute, if you could do that again. Sorry, guys, for you guys that are. Thank you. But it's important that they call you, right? I know, you know, at times there's things I would ride home when I was new in the business and I would talk to my parents. My parents were engineers. They weren't able to give me advice in sales really and how to get better at my day or get through the numbers, understanding my sales funnel, right? And so it's important that in that tough day, they puke uphill and they go talk to you about their frustrations. And then at this point, you know, sometimes they'll realize that some of the things they did, they may have been self-inflicted. They may have been things that they're doing. Maybe they got away from their habits. Maybe they got away from their preparation. Maybe they, are over talking things on the front end of the sales process as opposed to like moving through the sales process. But the important thing is that your relationship is strong so they can puke uphill. And keep in mind, there's an old, example or meeting that I used to run where it's a cup and you pour a bunch of water in the cup and you pour it all the way to the top and you have the cup. And then I get a second glass of water. And the water here is their cup that's full of frustration. And the second cup is logic. And this is what I want to help them get is logic. And then I ask them, hey, if I pour logic on your full water here, are you what's going to happen? See Miles there. Miles, what happens if I pour logic on a full cup of emotion and frustration?
There's no room. It just keeps going over.
It's going to overflow, right? So the concept is they have to pour out frustration, pour out some of their emotions, lean on you as a coach and a leader, then you can pour in a bit of logic. So if you do that, then you can allow your people to puke uphill, then you'll be able to help them get through some of the things that they're challenged with. So keep that in mind, and trust me when I tell you, that relationship you have that you build early on, it sets you up for this tough day if things don't go their way. All right, the next, again, logical conversation or time that you can have awesome combos. So the last couple are proactive combos. That was a more of a responsive conversation. When it comes to promotions, one thing that I think as an organization, no matter what office you're in, no matter what manager you work with or what market you're in, what campaign you're on, I believe this is something we can do a much better job of, is celebrating the wins, celebrating the small things, celebrating when a new person closes for the first time and making sure everyone celebrates it. Again, I'm a big soccer fan. I got my Colombia jersey on today. Copa America is starting here, and this, there's like preliminary games this week. It's kind of funny. I'm a little torn. Colombia is playing the U.S. this Saturday. My cousins are all chirping at me in our family chat. They're like, "Uh-oh, Kenny and Jeffrey," because we're the Americans. Like, Colombia is going to show America how soccer is played. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But then, in a few weeks, Copa America starts. Last night, there's a game on for the U.S. women's national team. For you guys that know soccer. And the U.S. women's team has gone through some changes over the last few years. A lot of the older players that kind of set the tone, won a few World Cups, have all retired. And there's this new generation of players that are coming in. Last night in the 80th minute, a girl got subbed on the field who's 16 years old. And I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She gets the ball at the top of the box and she scores. 16 years old, scores for the U.S. women's national team. How freaking amazing is that? The entire bench clears the bench and runs down the sidelines and like dog piles and jumps all over and gets really excited for her. And she just, they're playing like South Korea, or I forget who they're playing, but it was like the second goal of the game. The goal it was an exhibition game. Why did they do that? It was her first international goal. And this girl, apparently in all these games, or all this practices leading up to it, she's one of the hot shots that they really want to take to the Olympics. So how is she going to feel about the team and about the community of that U.S. team? She's going to feel amazing, right? And we got to do the same thing when somebody closes for the first time. Somebody gets consistent and they're pushing leadership. They get promoted to leadership. I know one thing we like to do in Detroit, and I got this from Jason. I see him on right now, Jason Nickel, rising star owner in the Carolinas. Like, we like get the leaders together and they say, they put together like 10 or 15 things when somebody gets promoted. So say Jason gets promoted. Hey, we have a little leader chat and say, hey, can you post something nice about, Emily or Kristen or whoever that's getting promoted? And then all the leaders kind of trip in. Hey, I remember our first day in the field. You did this, like a funny story. Keep it up. Way to go. And there's like 10 or 12 things or 15 or 20. And it's like a list of things people day when they get promoted, like, hey, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said this. And then the person getting promoted is standing there going, man, like, I'm getting all this love from all these people that I barely know. Like, this feels amazing. The second piece to that about making it a big deal and making these promotions special is there's other people listening. There's other new guys watching. And they're thinking about their last job. They're thinking about, hey, how much recognition did I get there? And oftentimes it's not a lot. And then they want to be the next person that gets promoted, right? So my point here is when people get promoted, make them special. And it's also super important that you get out with your leader the first day of leadership, second day of leadership, to tighten the bolts. Just get out with them, have a team day, figure out some things they still got to get better at, right? There's a difference between hitting numbers one time and consistently making $1,500 or $2,000 a week in and week out. So you got to keep in mind that there's more things to do. Getting promoted is one thing, but getting consistent on a monthly basis is a more important thing. All right. The last thing is standards. Standards. The conversation when people get cut. You'll see this fun picture here. I'm really proud of my U11 soccer team that I coach. We just won the state cup in Michigan. So it's pretty neat to get these little guys. I mean, man, talk about a roller coaster of emotions. We went down 1-0 in overtime. We were pummeling this team. We just couldn't finish. We hit the crossbar. It was point blank misses. A penalty kick against us. We go down 1-0. Then the boys come back and score 2 goals in the next 8 minutes and end up winning the game 2-1. But man, what an exciting time. But I'll tell you, when it comes to standards on any team, there are standards. And unfortunately, in the game of life, in the game of business, there's some people that don't keep up with the standards. There's some people that get cut from the boys soccer team. We're doing tryouts right now where, it's interesting because now that they won state cup, there's actually a couple key players from other local teams that are at our tryouts because they want to play in a winning team, be a part of a winning culture, right? So there's going to be times when people leave the business. The crucial conversation with people on your team, or the important conversation, is most importantly, number one, never talk negative about anyone. Never talk negative about anyone that leaves, that chooses to do something else. Super, super important. Because what you're doing is you're showing your character of who you really are. Now, when somebody leaves and somebody does other things, goes to work for another team, or goes, in this case, maybe they go play for another U11 team, they may not be very happy. We're hearing, again, from these boys coming from other teams, that they didn't have, in their opinion, a good experience with the coaches, a good experience with the team. They didn't like the structure of it. That's probably the case oftentimes when people leave our business. It just wasn't a fit for whatever reason. But the most important thing is you never talk negative about someone that leaves. And the second thing is, if someone on your team has a question about why someone is no longer in the business or no longer a part of the team, what I did as a leader, what I encourage you to do is say, hey, listen, don't get too tied up into the day-to-day on management decisions. If you want to know the specifics of why someone else isn't here or not here, set up a one-on-one with, I see Jamie on today. Set up a one-on-one with Jamie. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to tell you. I can just share with you things that I know. As an example, we have standards. In our office, if you don't make, $850 a week as a leader consistently over a few weeks, you're off standards and you may be replaced. That's called, we're a sales company. I have a simple saying. We're a sales company. You have to do sales every once in a while. Now, what are we doing, right? So just kind of keep that in mind, but you got to make sure that you never, ever talk negative about someone. All right, guys. So again, just in review, critical conversations. There is specific conversations on the course of onboarding and developing people. On a day 1, there's a conversation. On a day 3, there's a conversation. First day on someone on their solo day. And when things don't go their way on a tough day, there's conversations. When somebody unfortunately gets cut from the team, there's some conversations. But again, keep in mind, it all starts with having the right relationship. It all starts with having the right experience early, that spending the time, building that relationship, putting those emotional deposits in that bank account. And then later on, you can have those conversations and you can help people out. And keep in mind, this is all wrapped around. This is not just about just teaching people sales. So I want you guys to think about how do I get my team to implement this onboarding systematic training? So if I'm a leader and I got a couple leaders in my team, do my leaders know day one, this is a conversation? Do my leaders know day 3, this is a conversation? Do my leaders know on a tough day, this is what you got to do? Let them vent a little bit and then try to help them with a little bit of logic. Do my people know how to have the conversation if somebody gets cut or if there's questions about that, right? So again, this isn't about just sales training for you. How do you get your people to learn these systems on developing? Because leadership and management, there's a lot to it, but there are simple systems that you can implement and inspect to make sure your people know these things. And if you haven't got a chance to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Klear Channel, Klear channel, I took the last call, put it up on the channel almost that night. I sent it to my SEO team. I think there's like 200 or 300 views on it already in just a week or so, which is kind of neat, mostly from our organization. Please pass this on to your people. We have over 400 videos from people in our industry. There's people outside of our industry that have a lot of insight on how to be successful. A couple professional athletes, tons of people that built multi-million-dollar companies. But just wanted to share with you guys today. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for jumping on. Again, if you find value in this time spent with me, I am looking to do these for the next few weeks and see if again you get a lot out of it. Please talk to your managers. Please pass it on them. I want them to reach out to me and share with me what's happening. If there's certain topics that you guys want to have, certain things that I can cover, I mean, I have a few resources to say the least. But my mission again is to continue to help change the world one leader at a time. And if this 30-40 minutes on a weekly or bi-weekly basis can do that for you guys, man, it fills me up to get an opportunity to do that. So thank you again for jumping on. Really appreciate you guys. Let's have a great week and continuing kicking some ass. We'll see you guys. We had a couple big events coming up in our industry. If you're thinking about it, but NatCon in Dallas isn't too far off. Let's get some big promotions by then. Have a great Wednesday. See you guys.